Coast. One of the things about touring out here, you live on an island. And this is a really hard thing to realize, is that you're 8 hours from any other market. If you are in Philadelphia, you've got 6 other markets that are within an hour's or 2 hours or 3 hours drive. And you can sell records and you can build up huge numbers. So one of the things we found is we started getting a corridor in the East Coast. We started using that as an island. We'd go out of New York and go up and down. So you'll start to find doors that open. As those doors open, you'll feel it. It's easy. Okay, good. We've got the team in place. All of a sudden, our Facebook hits are starting to, and everybody's liking this one tune. And I'll bet you dollars to donuts it's not the one you think it is. I mean, and all of a sudden, you're going to go, oh, it's that tune, huh? That was a dog, you know? But sure enough, that's the one they like. So you start to feel the momentum and play on it. It's, you know, when things start to go, run with it. That's the great thing. If you've got a team together, they can do that. They can help you do that. That's the one real drawback for DIY artists, is they don't have the people around them to help them if that stuff starts to happen. And it sounds like you're in a good place for that. Yeah.
I have a question about touring and performing. And at one point, you used to always look at the demographics of an area based on age and perhaps what they would consider disposable income. But I was wondering if the promoters here could kind of touch base on the longevity of an artist, in the sense that if they're appealing to, say, 17 to 30, and they want to have longevity, so these, say, 25-year-olds, 25 years from now are now 50, and their back in the day music is that something to consider when you're negotiating? And the reason I ask is because if you're looking at your artistry primarily from the perspective that you want to tour and perform, as your population ages, what's the likelihood of them going out to see a concert? When you're younger, you know, every other weekend you're out there. But when you're older, you know, filling the Denver concert halls at Betcher, or, you know, where the symphony plays, or some of the more established, maybe older demographic audience, how do you measure that? Because I've heard you guys talk all about the Fillmore and the Ogden and the Gothic, which I rarely go to. And I go to music all the time. So, of course, I'm looking at a different genre, primarily jazz. But I'm just wondering if you're looking at building a brand, and for example, Snoop Dogg. He's managed to survive. And I keep thinking, Snoop Dogg at 70, dropping it like a hot.
Yeah.
Just doesn't even sound right. But I imagine when I'm 70, I might want to go hear it, you know? So how do you guys look at that forward thinking?
Ask Mick Jagger and Paul McCartney.
Same thing, the Beach Boys, when you hear that song, you go, ah.
Sarah, you were going to...
I would say, you know, that's not necessarily in my preview, but the guys that I work for, who are our bookers, they're always looking for the longevity. Can they look 25 years down the line? Maybe, maybe not. You know, I don't know that when Mick Jagger was, you know, and the Rolling Stones were playing clubs, that anybody was thinking, oh, these guys are going to be around forever.
Especially them.
Yeah, and maybe not even Keith Richards. But we're always looking to grow and build them. And we have talked a lot about the Bluebird and the Ogden and the Fillmore and the First Bank Center. But that is sort of a progression, too. Is the people that we have in the Bluebird, we hope next year they're at the Ogden. As Sean said, when he's got somebody in the Fillmore, he's hoping next summer they're at Comfort Dental or Red Rocks. Because we do want to grow that relationship, and we want to create bands, because there aren't the Rolling Stones and the U2s and the Police like there were instantaneously. It is not the Bluebird to stadiums.
Yes.
That doesn't happen anymore. But we are looking long term, and if Snoop Dogg's dropping it like it's hot when he's 70, I'll be there.
I'll be there.
Well, the one thing I'd sort of say as the oldest fellow, as a performer, and having worked with just some amazing performers that have longevity. Hazel Miller, I produced her Jazzville record. And people who have done that tend to reinvent themselves as they go. And there's a lot of wonderful stories. Duke Ellington, but probably my favorite is Louis Armstrong, who had this brilliant career in his 20s and 30s, and then a very amazing shyster manager who was actually a mob boss. If you liked, he would give you a salami. He had salamis hanging from his office day. I like it. He'd give you 50% of Louis Armstrong's earnings. But he was smart enough to get him a song called Hello Dolly when he was 64 years old that knocked the Beatles off the chart. So I'm a real believer in the long term. It's one of the things I respect about artists like Sting, and sadly a man who just passed away, Levon Helm. And Darius Rucker, an amazing story. Here's somebody who had the whole Hootie thing and then becomes the best new artist for country music. So I'm a real believer if you can figure out ways to, keep your music alive. It's a great thing. I mean, Hazel's had a brilliant career, and it continues. She's now really turning towards the jazz side of things, which I think is really cool. So I think it's possible. How young artists will do that is a curiosity to me. I know, when I started playing, we played 300 nights a year, and there were clubs. Herman's Hideaway, we played 3 nights a week. We played Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. We'd make $1,000 each night. I drove by Herman's on my way home the other night and had a banner out front that said 20 bands per week. Do the math, that's about $150 per band. That's tough. I don't know how the next generation's gonna do that.
I just want to, I have these peripheral points, I hope you guys don't mind, but there's one other thing that I want to mention that I think maybe is germane to both the questions that were asked, which is, don't sleep on other opportunities in the music business or even as a performer. Like I interviewed recently a guy named, who you are probably familiar with, a guy named Dan Wilson, and he used to be in this band called Trip Shakespeare, and after that he was in a band called Semisonic, which had that Closing Time hit in the 90s, remember that one? Well, he, his bands broke up and he was nowhere and he was desperate and he started writing songs, and then the next thing you know, he starts to write songs for the Dixie Chicks, and he just co-wrote Someone Like You with Adele, and so now he's set. And so there's a lot of opportunity. The music business is not only a big place, but it's also a wide place, right? So you can do theme music for TV, and you can do, there's just endless opportunities in it if you find yourself in it. You're making connections now. If you become, the next giant Rolling Stones of the millennium, great. That's excellent. If you don't, you're making connections along the way, and you might have these other opportunities.
Yeah, we have a question here.
I don't know if this question will be kind of obviously answered.